Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 99 of Be With Me. We're going to recline at the table with Jesus today. That's kind of the good news. The bad news is it's the people that we have to recline at the table with him. And that is Matthew, who equals the same name as Levi. And we're going to learn about them in Matthew chapter 9, verse 9 and following. Matthew 9:9. Let me read it, and then we'll talk about the offense of this once again. As Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew, or Levi, sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. And as Jesus reclined at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." So let's talk about Matthew as we get started here. We cannot underestimate the offense of this man. Now, the people that Jesus has called were, kind of at least neutral Jews. Maybe they were, spiritual people a little bit. But then there's Matthew. Matthew was wrong. He was a Jew, but he was wrong in sort of almost in the kind of a way of being a Samaritan. He was like this traitor. He was a politically abhorrent to essentially the entire Jewish nation, because he was this traitor or a collaborator, at least, with the bad, horrible people of Herod and the Romans. And financially, the tax collectors were well known to be skimming money off the top and lining their own pockets with sort of excessive taxation. And so they were just universally thought of as financially treacherous people and just abhorred in the nation, and then religiously compromising. Their God must not have been very important to them to participate politically and financially and religiously against their people. And so these guys were social outcasts. And of course, after Jesus gets, most of the disciples kind of lined up in a row, then he chooses this guy. And not only does he choose him to follow Jesus, so that's one thing. Jesus picks knuckleheads. Okay, I'll give you that. But then he says to Matthew, "I want you to be part of my band. I want you to be part of the disciples. And conversely, I want the disciples to have to deal with you." So he's building Christian fellowship. So what does Christian fellowship look like? Politically different, financially different, abhorred people, outcast people. That welcome to the church, ladies and gentlemen. So not only is the challenge to follow Jesus, but to join my kingdom, which is to join my church. So is the church for holy rollers, quote unquote? No, church is for the unholy. That's one of the big points of this. The second big point is the be with me part of this. And Jesus reclined at the table. He reclined at the table. That is this leisurely unfolding of himself, sharing a meal. And then who does Jesus recline with? His table is full of sinners. He was accused, actually, of being a friend of sinners. And who are the sinners? Well, he uses the sickness analogy here, that he comes as the physician to be with the sick. That is, the people that are most spiritually knuckleheaded and morally sick, politically wrong. And Jesus says, the worse you are almost, you are my people. The physicianless, the most needful people, those are my people. And he even uses the word here again, as he used it with the Samaritan woman, the woman at the well. this universal wound that we all have. And then we just got done learning about the paralytic man, where he uses the word sin, which is this external problem of paralysis that everyone was focused on. And Jesus says, no, I'm going to heal his internal real problem, which is sin. I'm going to forgive his sin, and then I'll externally heal him, which will be a representation that I have healed him on the inside spiritually. All right, but I want to get this reclining word. Let's resonate with that a little bit. I may not have time enough to finish the gospel or finish the New Testament or finish the Bible at the speed of astonishment. And I think for those of you who are blasting through the Bible, trying to finish the Bible in a year, think about this reclining at table. The point is not to get through the Bible in a year, but to get the Bible through you. And I guarantee you that it's going to take longer than a year. So let's, as we conclude today, recline at table with Jesus, number one, that's good, but also with the knuckleheads that he calls into his kingdom, the most sick people. In fact, if a person says, I'm not sick, I'm righteous, they probably shouldn't be welcome in the church until they get new eyes. So Lord, give us eyes to see both yourself, but also to see the needful people that you've called to recline at this table with you. And how are we supposed to do this? In a reclining fashion. That is, at the speed of astonishment. So Jesus focused on the people who knew that they were the worst, rather than those who thought they were the best. Those most in need. So Lord, give us eyes for this, for the physicianless, for the sick, for the spiritually needful, for the people that have invisible wounds of sin. And give us the time, the leisure, if you will, to recline with you. Surround me with those who know that they are sick, the politically wrong, the financially crooked, the religiously compromising, and those who know that they are sick. And let me do it with leisure. Thanks, Lord. Thanks for building your kingdom with such knuckleheads as these. I'll see you guys tomorrow.